Hi, it's Erica Nicole, and I am back with video 2 for the affirmation series. And the affirmation that I pulled this morning is grace. And this card says, I face disagreements with grace and flow through the ups and downs of my relationships without getting thrown off center. With grace, I'm able to keep my cool, be my best self, and not resort to name calling. I feel like this was a really interesting card to pull because honestly, when I think of all the things that I could associate with my relationships with other people, grace really isn't even a word that would pop up in my mind. I might think about being forgiving and being patient and things like that, but grace really isn't even a word that would pop up in my mind. So I like the fact that this came out because it really made me think about grace. And the one thing that I always associate with grace whenever I think about it is the fact that grace is not something that's necessarily earned, right? Um, we don't give grace because it's merited. We give grace because it's something that we should do. And I think it's really important to show grace in our relationships with each other because none of us are perfect. And when we show grace, we're basically giving each other the room to get it wrong sometimes, to mess up sometimes, to say the wrong thing, to do the wrong thing. Because none of us are ever going to get it right all the time. And so we need to show that grace to each other so that I can acknowledge, all right, you messed up this time. You're not perfect. I can't expect perfection out of you. So that's okay. We can give grace to other people. And we also need to give that same grace to ourselves. And that's definitely something I need to work on a little more because I have a tendency to be really hard on myself. I have a tendency to be really critical of myself. When I find myself in situations and positions that I don't like, I blame myself for not being smart enough to not be put in this situation. I blame myself for misjudging a situation or misjudging a person. And I got to learn how to show my own self grace and give my own self room to get it wrong sometimes because it's perfectly natural to get it wrong. Like, not only is it natural to get it wrong, it is absolutely to be expected because not one of us is perfect. Not one of us is going to get it right all the time. So I have to give myself the room to make mistakes, and I need to give that space to the other people in my life that I have relationships with as well. And when I think about this, really a perfect analogy, even though it's a little corny, is when you think about companies that give grace periods. It's not that you don't want to pay your bill on time. It's not that you didn't have intentions of paying your bills on time, but they know that sometimes things happen. Sometimes you forget. Sometimes you mismanage or misjudge something. Sometimes life just happens unexpectedly and throws you off. And so they offer that grace period because they know things are going to happen sometimes. And we have to give the people in our lives that same kind of room, that same kind of grace period, especially for the people that are in my life that are important to me and that I care about. I don't want to make anyone feel like they have to be perfect with me or it's done. I don't want to make people feel like there is no room for them to make any type of mistake. In the same way, I don't want the people in my life to make me feel that way, because as much as I try and as much as I want to be the best version of myself at all times, it doesn't always happen. It doesn't always come across that way. No matter how good and pure my intentions are, sometimes I get it wrong, and I have to accept that sometimes other people are going to get it wrong when it comes to me too. And so we have got to learn how to have this mutual grace in our relationships, to give each other room to mess up, to learn, and to grow from it. Now, let me put my disclaimer out here. I'm not saying that because we all know that we're not perfect and we're going to mess up, that you have to show someone grace for the same issue over and over and over. I'm not telling you that. I'm not going to tell you how many times or what your limit should be for showing grace for the same thing. But I'm not telling you that grace gives someone a pass to treat you however they want to, as much as they want to, and you just keep letting it go. That's not what Erica is telling you. But as long as I can see that your intentions were pure and that you're putting forth the effort to learn the lesson and to be better, I can give you that grace. Because like I said, I never want to make the people that I have personal relationships with feel like if they're not perfect, they'll never cut it with me. That's never my intention. I don't want to make people feel like they can't ever make a mistake with me, because that's going to happen. That's life. The same way I'm going to make a mistake with them sometimes. So it's important. Let's show each other grace. Let's show ourselves grace, again, within reason. It's still okay to have boundaries, and it's still okay to expect people to learn and to do better. But let's show a little more grace when we're dealing with people in our lives, because we got to understand that everything isn't always going to be peaches and cream. And the only way we grow and the only way we learn is by something happening that didn't work out, and now we know better. So I'm going to show grace, and I guess it kind of goes along with forgiveness too. But yeah, I'm going to work personally on showing a little more grace in my relationships with people. And this actually really couldn't come at a better time, because I'm really needing to implement this in my life right now. I want to show grace. I want to give room for people to be the humans that they are, to get it wrong sometimes, but to come back better. So I'm really glad that this came out. This really is something that I needed to be reminded of and prompted to think of. So hopefully it'll help you too. And I will catch up with you tomorrow with the next affirmation. Good night.